My sister called at 6 a.m. I need you to watch my kids for 3 weeks. I'm going to Italy. No warning. No ask. Just a statement. I said, I'm actually moving this weekend. She said, where? I said, somewhere quiet. She laughed. Then she showed up at my door Saturday, and I was actually gone. Entirely. New city, new number. And the storage unit key I left her contained just one thing. The phone started vibrating on the metal locker shelf at 6:01 a.m., right when my brain finally started to go soft around the edges. 12 hours of fluorescent lights and powdered filler dust will do that to you. I had one arm in my jacket, badge still clipped to my scrub top, when I saw the caller ID, Alina. Of course, I thumbed it on before it could wake up the rest of the guys changing out of their hairnets. Yeah? I said. I need you to watch my kids for 3 weeks, she said. I'm going to Italy. Just like that. No hello, no question mark. A statement, like the weather. My mouth went dry. Good morning to you too, she sighed into the phone. Daniel, I'm serious. The flights are at noon. Behind me, one of the pack operators slammed his locker and muttered something about coffee. My hands still smelled faintly like acetaminophen powder and latex. 3 weeks? I repeated. Yeah. Rome, Florence, maybe Venice, if we have time. It's a package deal. Her voice had that bright, brittle excitement she gets when she's already spent money she doesn't have. You just need to have them at your place when the school bus comes. Even you can handle that. Even you. There it was. I looked at the clock above the door. 6:03 a.m., my son Mark would be waking up in less than an hour for first grade. I'd be home by then if traffic didn't suck. I still had to get him breakfast, check his backpack, pretend I wasn't one shift away from falling over. I'm actually moving this weekend, I said. There was a beat of silence, like the call had glitched. What? She snapped. I'm moving, I repeated. This weekend. To where? Her tone said. Don't be ridiculous. Somewhere quiet. She laughed, sharp and disbelieving. You're not funny. I wasn't trying to be. Danny, be serious. I already booked the flights. I sent you the itinerary. My phone buzzed with a new notification at the top of the screen. Alina, Italy! With 3 heart emojis and a PDF icon. I didn't agree to this, I said. You're their uncle, she said. Like that cleared it up. Family helps family. You're always saying you don't do anything fun on weekends anyway. Consider this. Enriching. That's not how childcare works. Relax, she said, softening her voice into that reasonable tone she uses right before she does something awful. It's just 3 weeks. Kids love it at your place. Mark loves having his cousins. You work nights, you're home during the day. It's perfect. My hands went cold even though I was still warm from the line. Behind my ribs, my brain started doing the math whether I wanted it to or not. 3 weeks of school drop-offs, 3 weeks of no sleep between shifts, 3 kids in a 1-bedroom apartment, 3 weeks where one emergency or one screw-up could get me written up at the plant. Alina, I said. I can't. I'm signing the lease Friday, movers Saturday. I'm transferring to the East Plant. To where? She repeated, sharper. Pittsburgh. Since when? She demanded. Since HR sent the transfer letter last month. You didn't say anything. You didn't ask. She exhaled hard. Okay, you're having one of your moods. We'll talk about this later. I'll drop them Saturday morning. Just don't be weird about it, okay? Don't make a scene. It's for the kids. I'm not going to be there Saturday, I said. She laughed again, like I'd told a dad joke. Right. See you then. She hung up. I stared at my reflection in the locker door. 34, dark circles, hairnet line across my forehead, a chemist whose job was literally making sure thousands of tablets per hour had the correct dosage. I could calculate a dissolution curve in my sleep, but apparently I couldn't convince my own sister to treat my no like a sentence instead of a suggestion. When I got home, Mark was sitting at our tiny kitchen table, counting the marshmallows in his cereal like they were rare artifacts. Hey, buddy, I said, kissing the top of his head. You look tired, he said, eyes flicking up then back to the bowl. Grown up tired, I said, not your problem. He nodded like he'd heard that before. He had. Are the cousins coming this weekend? He asked. Aunt Alina sent me a picture of a big airplane yesterday. My stomach tightened. We'll see, I said. He accepted that, the way kids do when they've already learned adults make promises they can't keep. Saturday morning, at 8:02 a.m., Alina pulled up to my building with her SUV stuffed to the ceiling. 2 kids in pajamas, 3 suitcases, a double stroller, a plastic bin of toys. She marched up to my door, her own kids yawning behind her, already clutching tablets I'd never seen her pay for. She rang the bell, knocked, rang again, harder, nothing. Because by 8:02 a.m. on Saturday, I was 3 hours down the turnpike in a cheap motel off I-376, with Mark asleep in the other bed, a U-Haul parked outside, and my phone number sitting in a carrier database flagged for disconnection. At my old place, there was no furniture, no toys, no coffee mugs in the sink, just a taped envelope on the inside of the door with Alina's name on it and a single storage unit key inside. The unit itself contained one thing. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I moved. My name is Daniel. I'm 34. I'm a chemist on the night shift at a plant in Ohio that makes generic tablets, painkillers, blood pressure meds, antidepressants, things people depend on and never think about. I like the work. There's something calming about dissolution curves and stability data. Tablets behave the way they're supposed to if you control the variables. People don't. I've been a single dad since Mark's mom left when he was 2. She said she wasn't cut out for this domestic thing and moved to Austin with a musician. I got the custody papers, the daycare drop-offs, and the high tolerance for cold coffee. When rent started eating half my paycheck, my parents made an offer, move into the duplex they owned on the west side. Just for a year, lower rent, with a family discount. It sounded like help. It was leverage. We'll keep it smooth, my mom said when I signed the lease at their kitchen table. Family helps family. That's the sentence my whole childhood was built on. Alina is 3 years younger than me. She has 2 kids, Eva, 8, and Leo, 5. Their dads are 2 different men with the same level of involvement. Casual texting, Christmas cards the first year, and then nothing. Alina works in marketing, which, as far as I can tell, means she posts about skincare on Instagram and occasionally shows up at a co-working space for the Wi-Fi. Some families have recipes. We have a shared language. Be flexible means say yes even if it hurts you. Don't make a scene means don't call us out when we're being awful. Family helps family means you'll do it for free. The pattern didn't start with Italy. Italy was just the point where I finally saw it clearly. Incident 1. 3 years ago, right after I moved into the duplex, it was a Friday. I just crawled into bed at 9 a.m., exhausted from a double shift where a coating pump refused to cooperate. When my phone buzzed, Alina, running late. Can you grab Eva from preschool at noon? Me, can't. Night shift again. Need to sleep. Alina, you live closer. It's just this once. I have a meeting. Me, I haven't slept. I'd be driving half awake. Alina, wow. Okay. I guess I'll lose the job then. No big deal. I stared at the screen for a full minute before texting, fine. I set an alarm, dragged myself up 3 hours later, picked up her kid, fed her mac and cheese, and listened to my own heartbeat in my ears at the plant that night. That's what brothers do, my mom said when I mentioned it later. You're so good with kids. What she meant was, this is your role. Get comfortable. Incident 2, the hospital. Mark was 5 when he had an asthma flare bad enough that they kept us overnight. For observation, I spent the night sitting in a plastic chair, counting his breaths, listening to the hiss of the nebulizer. Alina visited for 20 minutes, took a selfie with Mark and a balloon, posted family is everything, with heart emojis, and left. When we got discharged, I checked my account to pay for the parking garage and saw 2 overdraft fees. I hadn't paid my parents their monthly contribution on the first because I physically hadn't been home to grab my checkbook. Mom cornered me in the hallway that night. You missed your payment, she said. I was in the pediatric wing, I replied. Mark couldn't breathe. I'm not saying it wasn't important, she said, her voice going soft and reasonable, but we have bills too. It has to be fair. Fair. Right. Incident 3. The Cancun trip. Last year, Alina booked a last-minute trip with a guy she'd been seeing for 6 weeks. She called me on a Tuesday. I need you to keep the kids from Friday to Tuesday, she said. I work Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights, I said. Can't you switch? She asked. It's the validation run for the new antidepressant line, I said. It's literally my job to be there, Danny. Her voice went sharp. My ticket is non-refundable. That's not my problem. She went quiet. Then she said, So you're saying no? Yes. There was a pause. Mom said you used to be so sweet when we were kids, she said. I guess she was wrong. She hung up. Friday night, I got a call from my mom at 11 p.m. during my break. Why are Eva and Leo here? I asked, hearing kids in the background. Because your sister is in Mexico, my mom said. She said you bailed last minute. We had to cancel our anniversary weekend. I closed my eyes, counted to 5. I told her I couldn't, I said. My mom sighed. You know how she is. You're the stable one. You're supposed to compensate. The stable one. The built-in safety net. The person everyone assumes will catch the falling dishes while they argue about the tablecloth. Meanwhile, Mark watched all of it. He watched his cousins get dropped off with no warning. He watched me carry sleeping kids to our couch at midnight. He watched my parents praise Alina for getting out and enjoying her life, while telling me I was selfish for wanting a weekend where I didn't have 3 extra children. Once, when he was 6 and we just finally gotten everyone in bed after an impromptu Sunday pizza night that turned into an impromptu sleepover, he sat on the edge of his mattress and picked at the hem of his blanket. Dad? He asked. Yeah, Bug. Why do they get to come here whenever they want? Because we're family, I said, automatically. He looked down. How come we don't get to go anywhere? My throat burned. I thought it was temporary, I told myself that night, lying awake between shifts. 1 year, 2, at most. Save money. Then we'll move. It wasn't temporary, it was a system. And I was the one holding it up. After the Italy call, I tried to do the grown-up thing. I tried to explain. I emailed my supervisor that same morning. Eyes gritty from being awake too long. Subject, transfer confirmation. He replied within an hour, confirmed. Report to Pittsburgh East site on Monday the 18th. Welcome aboard. It was real. My new badge picture was already in the system. I had a lease in my email for a 2-bedroom in a boring, quiet complex outside the city. Mark had a transfer acceptance letter from a public school that didn't know my parents' names. I forwarded all of it to a folder in my inbox labeled Out. Then I texted Alina. Me. I'm not available to watch the kids while you're in Italy. I am moving out of Cedar Heights this weekend. Alina. You're being dramatic. Alina, we'll talk tonight. We didn't talk that night. She talked. I listened. She called around 8 p.m., right when I was trying to convince Mark that chicken nuggets counted as a food group and not just a suggestion. You're really going through with this? She demanded as soon as I answered. Through with having a job and not dying from exhaustion, I said. Yeah. You know I can't afford childcare, she said. Do you want me to cancel my trip? Is that what you want? Because the kids will be devastated. They've been talking about Italy for weeks. Then you should have arranged childcare before you bought tickets, I said. You're their uncle, she repeated, like maybe I'd forgotten. I'm Mark's dad first. You're punishing me, she said, because Mom always babied me or whatever story you've made up in your head. This isn't about you. This is about the kids having opportunities. There it was, the word my family loves almost as much as smooth. Opportunities, usually followed by, you're ruining them. Where are you staying? I asked. What? In Italy. Give me the address of the hotel, the dates, the emergency contact. You want to leave your kids with me for 3 weeks. I need details, she scoffed. Why are you interrogating me? You sound like one of your stupid SOPs. It's basic information, I said. You're going out of the country. If something happens, I need to know who to call. You're making this weird, she said. It's a vacation, not a trial. So you can't tell me where you're staying? We're going to be moving around, she said. Airbnb, hostels, whatever. Don't worry about it. Then don't leave them with me, I said. Wow, she said. You've really changed. Click. Wave 1 was guilt. Wave 2 was pressure. She started texting my mom in the family group chat, the one titled Family that I muted 2 years ago. Mom, Alina says you refuse to help with the kids. Mom, we're all very disappointed, Daniel. Dad, you can't just take off without thinking about everyone else. Alina, I just want them to see the world. I thought family would support that. I took screenshots, every message, every timestamp, put them in a folder on my laptop called Receps. At work, on my 30-minute break at 2 a.m., I pulled up the plant's HR portal and downloaded my official transfer letter. I printed it on the crappy black and white printer in the break room and slid it into a clear plastic sleeve. At home, I pulled out the yellow envelope that held Mark's birth certificate and the custody papers from family court. I added a new document, guardianship instructions I'd had notarized last month. If something happens to me, Mark goes to Aunt Carla, not to my parents, not to Alina. I put copies in the same sleeve. I updated Mark's school emergency contact form online, deleted my parents' numbers, deleted Alina's, added Carla and my supervisor's office. The school confirmed the change with a bland email. I added that to the folder too. I took photos of Alina's itinerary PDF, dates, flight numbers, the line where it said adults, 1, children, 2. She never put me on it. I was never part of the plan. I was just the free childcare she assumed would be waiting. On Thursday, she tried one more angle. Alina. I told the kids you'd have them. They're so excited. Alina, don't do this to them. Me. I've already told you I can't. Alina. So you want them to think their uncle doesn't love them? My thumb hovered over the screen. Mark was at the table drawing a very serious picture of a dragon. His tongue stuck out slightly between his teeth. He glanced up at me, catching my expression. Is it Aunt Alina? He asked. Yeah, I said. Are the cousins coming? He asked, quieter this time like he'd already figured out the answer. I looked at him for a long second. No, I said. Not this time. He nodded, eyes going back to his paper, but his shoulders stayed tight. That quiet shrink. That was the moment something in me clicked over. I was done explaining, done being reasonable while everyone else used my reason as a resource. That's when I stopped arguing, I told myself, tapping save on the folder filled with PDFs and screenshots, and started documenting. The breaking point didn't look dramatic from the outside. There were no police sirens, no courtroom speeches, no dramatic knock on a door. It was an envelope on a kitchen table. Friday afternoon, I dropped Mark off at my parents' house like I had 100 times before. They lived in the upstairs unit of the duplex. I lived downstairs. Grandma, Mark yelled, barreling in with his backpack bouncing. Mom scooped him up, kissed his cheek, told him he'd grown. Dad asked about school in that distracted way that meant he was mostly waiting for the game to come back from commercial. I stood in the doorway, keys in one hand, a manila envelope in the other. I need 5 minutes, I said. Mom looked at the envelope like it might contain a bill. We're about to make dinner, she said. It'll take less than that. She sighed. Set the spoon down. Fine, but don't start a fight, Daniel. Things have been smooth lately. Smooth. I set the envelope on the table in front of them. My hands were steady. What's this? Dad asked. Information, I said. For when Alina shows up tomorrow. Mom frowned. She's dropping the kids off with you. No, I said. She isn't. I've told her no, repeatedly. Mom's mouth tightened. Daniel, I held up a hand. Not rude, firm. Inside that envelope, I said, is my transfer letter, my new address in Pittsburgh, Mark's school transfer confirmation, and updated guardianship paperwork. Mom blinked. Guardianship? If something happens to me, I said, Mark goes to Carla. Not here. Not to Alina. Her face went pale, then angry. How could you do that to us? Quite easily, I said. At the courthouse. The form is signed and notarized. Dad opened the envelope, flipped through the pages. His eyes landed on the letterhead with the plant's logo, the effective date, the line that said reporting location, Pittsburgh East. You're really leaving, he said. Yes. What about your contribution? Mom asked. The lease ends today, I said. You'll have the downstairs unit back. You can rent it for full price to someone who doesn't come with a child. That's not what I meant, and you know it, she said. We're family. Exactly, I said. We're family, not landlords, not free child care, not a backup plan every time Alina books a vacation she can't afford. Mom bristled. Your sister needs help. She's a single mother. So am I said. Silence. In the living room, Mark and Dad's TV started playing some cartoon-themed song. Mark laughed at something on the screen. A real laugh, bright and unguarded. It hurt how much it stood out. Where are you going? Mom asked, voice tight. Pittsburgh? I repeated. It's all in there. My new address, my new number. If there's an emergency with you or Dad, Carla has it. If there's an emergency with us, Carla calls you. You don't get my number directly until I decide it's safe. Safe, she echoed, offended. Until you stop treating my life like a resource, I said quietly. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. Dad shook his head. This is extreme. What's extreme, I said, is Alina listing me as primary caregiver on the school form without asking. What's extreme is being told I missed my contribution while my kid was on oxygen. What's extreme is you both acting like saying no is the same thing as abandoning the family. Mom's eyes flashed. Who told you about the school form? Eva, I said. She's 8 and more honest than any of us. Dad shifted in his chair. Alina was just trying to keep things simple. For who? I asked. Not for me. He didn't answer. I slid a single key across the table, a small brass one on a bare ring. What's that? Mom asked. The key to Unit 143 at West Cedar Storage, I said. Alina's name is on the label. When she shows up tomorrow and finds my place empty, you can give it to her. What did you leave her? Mom asked, suspicion creeping in. One thing, I said. You'll see if she shows you. Mom stared at the key like it might burn her fingers. So you're just cutting us off. I shook my head. I'm closing the tap. Her lips pressed together. I'm not yelling, I said. I'm moving out. That's it. On my way out, Mark ran up and hugged me around the waist. Are we still watching a movie tonight? He asked. Not tonight, I said, crouching to his level. Tonight we're sleeping somewhere with a pool. His eyes widened. A hotel? Yeah, he grinned. Can I jump on the bed? Within reason, I said. He nodded. Serious, like we'd made a contract. When we left, I didn't look back at my parents' window. I didn't wait for them to call me back in and renegotiate. I drove to the storage facility instead. Unit 143 was small and bare. I'd cleared it out the day before. No old furniture, no boxes of baby clothes, nothing anyone could hold over my head. Just a plastic file box on the floor with Alina's name taped to the lid. And inside that, one yellow folder with the word boundaries written across the front in my messy block letters. On top of the stack of documents inside, transfer letters, screenshots, guardianship papers, was a single page printed in 12-point Times New Roman. No bullets. No formatting. Alina, the next time you need 3 weeks of free childcare, call the fathers of your kids. Effective immediately, I am not available as your backup parent. Do not list me on school forms. Do not drop your kids at my door without my written agreement. If you ignore this, I will document it and speak to a lawyer. This is not a fight. This is a boundary. Daniel. I closed the lid, locked the unit, and slid the key into my pocket. The next morning, while Alina was pounding on an empty apartment door, Mark and I were eating scrambled eggs in a motel dining room that smelled like waffle batter and burned coffee. My phone buzzed on the table. Mom. Then Dad. Then Alina. I watched the screen light up, then go dark. Over and over. I didn't answer. Instead, I turned my phone face down, looked at Mark, and said, You want to see how high the pancakes can stack? He grinned. Yeah. That was the irreversible step. Not the move, not the new job, not the storage unit. The choice to let the calls go to voicemail. Pittsburgh turned out to be exactly what I'd hoped for. Boring. Our complex is beige siding, identical balconies, a small playground, a pool that only opens if the weather behaves. Mark loves it. The first week, he stood in his new room, staring at the blank walls and a box of dinosaur posters. Is this all ours? He asked. Yeah, I said. No grandma upstairs. No doors we don't have keys to. Just ours. He nodded like he was tasting the word. School was rough the first day. New bus, new kids. He squeezed my hand at the stop until my fingers hurt. I'll be here at 3, I told him. Promise? I promise. At 3:02, he tumbled off the bus, flushed and smiling. You came every time. Work at the new plant is the same. Coating pans, assays, checklists, but no one knows my family. No one treats my life like community property. I changed my number. Gave it to Carla, my supervisor, and Mark's school. Not my parents, not Alina. They reached me anyway. Mom emailed. We miss you. Alina was devastated by that box. You didn't have to humiliate her. We're family. We should work things out without threats. I replied, I'm not available for childcare, Mom. Alina messaged, You're really that cold? You moved without telling me, Left a creepy file like you're building a case. Over one trip. We're family. You're supposed to be there when I need you. I wrote back, I won't discuss this without a lawyer present. Then I logged out. They sent a snow globe from Rome for Mark. Then an email. We're still your parents. We still have rights as grandparents. I answered, you have no rights to my child. You have a relationship and it depends on you respecting my boundaries. Right now, you don't. That night, Mark and I ate spaghetti on the couch watching a movie about talking dogs. Are we going to stay here a long time? He asked. As long as we want. I like it, he said. It's quiet. So when an unknown number pings, hey stranger, it's Alina. Don't be petty. We're family. I don't spiral, I block it. Because my boundary is simple. Access to me is not a family right.